Lights, camera, action. Let's dive in deep. Talking directors, actors, the secrets they keep. From behind the scenes to the silver screen. Hard-hitting questions, nothing in between. We're rated B, rated the podcast sensation. Unveiling truth, sparking conversations. Where every story gets its chance to shine. We're rated B, rated, let's rewind.
Yes, it's a very busy day, as you can imagine. This
Oh,
film
all right.
lit
I was going
the
to talk
internet on
about
fire, I'm afraid.
15 minutes about your majestic beard, Simon. What's going on, man?
Thank you. You're too kind. What's going on is that we're obsessing the internet and probably Disney with our new release of the movie, The Mousetrap.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome, man. If you want to jump in, Anthony, then I'll just follow you, and then we'll just keep going. Shooting the fast ones then.
Oh, yeah. So when was this first conceived to film and all of that?
So
when did that
last
start?
year, I don't know if you remember, but they made a Winnie the Pooh horror movie, which I thought was a great idea. Maybe not a great movie, but certainly a great idea. And when I heard that Mickey Mouse was coming up into public domain in a sort of similar fashion, I pitched an idea to director Jamie Bailey, saying, "Hey, man, I've got an idea for we should do this for Mickey Mouse, basically, but like a slasher." Like a 90s slasher and an arcade, and he just loved the idea and he just went with it. So we had a bit of a ridiculous idea, and thank God Jamie Bailey went with it.
That's awesome. I was actually talking to Anthony about that too. Like, I feel like that we're the adults now, and so like with the whole Winnie the Pooh, the Mean Ones, Mary Had a Little Lamb, like those type of movies, and now this Mickey Mouse one, like we're just like, dude, now that we're adults, we'll be like, hey, I remember that as a kid. So now we're the ones that are actually going to the movies and buying the DVDs and everything like that. Like, I think that's a great concept, man.
Well, when you're a kid, right? Cartoons are your escapism, sort of, because something. But as you get to an adult, you don't watch, or maybe you do watch cartoons. Family Guy and Simpsons are, seem to have an evergreen sort of audience. But generally speaking, cartoons aren't adult entertainment. But horror films are. Horror films are the adult sort of cartoons. They are escapism. So I don't think it's nice to take something from our childhood and bring it into adults kind of escapism. So, and there we have it, Mickey Mouse.
So then we also were following when that Winnie the Pooh one came out. They got a lot of haters. Like, how much have you guys got? I've seen that you posted some stuff like, the disclaimer obviously isn't good enough for people who don't know how to read. But
yes, obviously there seems to be some confusion with something. Well, there are, this movie is definitely divisive. Sort of. So people either love it or hate it, which is fine. But the idea is it offends some people, but you know what? I don't like the world today. It's like the idea that you could go through life and not be offended by somebody. It's just madness. You're just like, well, I mean, just because you're offended doesn't mean you're right. It's like
exactly,
you're allowed to be offended. It's like, well, everybody's opinion is allowed to upset another person's opinion. That's freedom of speech for you. That's we're entitled to have our own thoughts. They don't have to agree. We do have to be respectful, but we don't have to agree. That's just part of life.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So the concept for some of these kills, like how did you approach each different kill in the movie?
So I wrote the script after I picked the place that we were going to film in. So what was important is, like, when I was talking to Jamie, the director, he'd go, so where is this amusement park? Where is this arcade? And I went to look at a few of them and talk to a few of them. And then we picked Funhaven in Ottawa in Canada. And then after that, it was like, how can we use this environment? They had a laser tag, they had a roller coaster, they had, virtual reality room. They had a bunch of cool things. So we tried to utilize the environment, which I also liked because it's an amusement park and it's supposed to be somewhere safe, obviously, and it's supposed to be where adults play, and then made that hopefully scary as well. So we used how we approached each kill was looking at where the environment happens in, whether that's laser tag or the jungle gym or whatever it is. We had fun in every environment that was available, but that's how it was designed.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I definitely saw that. Sorry, go ahead.
Touching base on what Anthony just said, That's one of my biggest fears. I don't know why, but ever since I was a kid, like Achilles tendon. Like I think
Oh,
that
yes.
is the most. So yeah, that's
Yeah, that was particularly it's one of those ones that you can get shot in the chest, and I don't,
yeah.
people don't seem to mind it, but cut their ankle, but a shot in the chest would kill you, or a shot in the stomach would kill you, but it doesn't seem to get people the way an Achilles tendon being cut would.
I know. There's not a lot of them.
Yeah. So
You need
there's
to
the things you can do. That's like sort of scratching your nails down the chalkboard. It's that gets people in a different way. So,
could be
yeah.
utilized a lot more, but no, that I don't know why. Ever since I was a kid, like I swear I heard something that if you cut that, then you're never going to walk again. But I don't know. I just have
I
some
don't know if that's
irrational.
true. It certainly plays in people's imagination that you're hobbled for life there.
Yeah. But again, going back on the killings, how was it rocking that mask? I'm
The
sure that you
mask.
probably watched Mickey when you were little and being like, you know what? It's finally me.
It's funny. Well, the Mickey, obviously, I should probably start by saying, the old legal stuff. Yeah,
Oh,
it's not a Steamboat Willie's Mickey Mouse. So
Steamboat
our
Willie.
Mickey
Sorry.
doesn't look like the Mickey that I grew up with or you grew up with. I'm sure he looks a bit different. He's black and white. Sort of. He's got no eyeballs, so he does look a bit different than the Mickey you'd remember. He doesn't wear the white gloves. He doesn't have the red jumpsuit. So it's a very different type of Mickey than the one everybody probably knows a lot better, because that Mickey is still owned by Disney. So we could only play with the Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse. But yeah, it was. I mean, look, man, I get to do a very fun job for a living, and dressing up as Mickey Mouse was not fun because being inside that mask is torture. But you don't. I'm not going to get to do it probably ever again. Oh, what I am. Yeah,
But
probably maybe one more time.
I did appreciate the amount of like immersion we get into Steamboat Willie, that you get like the cartoon, and you get the musical sound over the overhead, and like all these different little touches that makes it feel like we're in a Steamboat Willie movie.
Yes, I wanted to get that. That idea that it was Mickey
Glitchiness.
from Steamboat Willie that was in it. And by the way, my favorite scene in the movie, to explain that, people go, well, yeah, why is it? Is when one of the characters, I don't know if you've seen the whole thing now, is when she's on the virtual reality set, right?
Oh yeah.
And Mickey appears behind her. Mickey doesn't understand what it is she's doing because he's from 1928, right? So he doesn't understand the virtual. That's why he's waving in front of her face.
Oh yeah, okay.
He doesn't understand the technology because it's not when he's from. So it's the idea is that he's been released from this. He's jumped out of this movie from 1928, but the technology confuses him. Then you see, sort of, so he can't understand why Gemma can't see him. So I kind of like that. It's a little reason harking back, but we're very much into giving Disney the credit they deserve for Steamboat Willie, for the character, and that's why we put it in the movie lots.
No, I thought that was a great transition on how it happened and everything like that. Transforming into it, the issue, being shocked and everything. I thought that was a great transition. And then, now that you're mentioning it, I thought he was just being a menacing killer.
Well, I mean, he's that too, isn't he? But it's fun to mix it with, when we make the movie, people are, we have to understand why we're doing what we're doing. I don't necessarily believe that we have to explain it all the time to the audience, but we as filmmakers kind of got to know what the answer is. Would he do this? Would he do that? So.
All right, Anthony.
So the one character that I really enjoy, I forget her name right now, but she was the girl in the jail cell. Like she carries that sort of like backstory that ties everything together. She's like pushing back at the cops. It was amazing.
Yeah, she Mackenzie Mills, wonderful actress, and she was our menacing sole survivor, right? In the movie, you always have to be suspicious of a sole survivor because they get to control the narrative about what happened. And that's why there's a bit of a fun dynamic with her and the two policemen or two detectives interviewing her. So I enjoyed that greatly, and she's a wonderful actress, Mackenzie.
Yep. And then I guess we also, while we're watching the movie, keep trying to figure out what's going on, and we really like that. For example, when they're doing the laser tag, we would say something in our mind like, okay, they're going to say this, and all of a sudden the cops would say that. And we're like, oh, for sure, then it's got to be these people, and we kept trying to guess more of who the killer was going to be, or if there was more than one killer, or like that. But then we're completely wrong. So it was,
well, we predicted
guessing.
when we had a cut of the movie that didn't have the detective stuff in it first, so that we shot that bit of the process later, like afterwards, and we used it to. So whenever we would show the people something, if they asked a question at a certain point or something like that, we would use the detective scene to answer it. You know, like sort of going, "Oh, well, people are going to think it's this," and they go, "Okay, then we should have a little moment in here with Mackenzie and the detectives where they talk about whatever the issue was, you know, like or whatever. Yeah, well, it must be this guy then." You know, or whether it was, is there more than one of them, you know, sort of, or something like that. So we used it as a bit of a narration tool, which I very much enjoyed.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm done with yeah, go for it, Anthony.
No, go ahead. I was still.
Oh, I was gonna say I'm done with my questions. I just got one that, you know, obviously we don't want to record the question. I was gonna ask about something. No spoilers.
No spoilers. Yes, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, I was the one thing that the one last thing that I really did like enjoy about this was that like there's some movies where like there's this rush in like the first 15 minutes we're going to meet all the characters and we're going to get so much time to know everybody, and in this movie there's like a layering. It's like we meet a couple people, then we meet some more people, then we meet some more people, and it's like nobody ever feels like they're here to die. They always feel like they're part of the narrative.
Yeah, I think there's a temptation with horror movies. I'm glad you caught onto that, because there's a temptation with horror movies now to, number one, have an opening kill. There's this thing of like, oh, you got to draw the audience in with some sort of cold open, and you got to kill a character. You got to kill somebody who nobody knows who they are yet. You know, sort of, because obviously the movie just started and you don't know who this person is, but it's supposed to be the hook and the intrigue. But sometimes it's nice to have a slower burn, you know, sort of on these things. You get to meet people, you get to be comfortable with them. That way, when something happens to them, you do feel something, you know, sort of. So I'm a bit more like that. But I mean, you know, I made this whole movie with Jamie as a bit of an homage to sort of 90s slasher movies, sort of the Nightmare on Elm Street, you know, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer. They're not, the plot isn't overthought, you know, like sort of, it's like, don't worry about it so much, you know, sort of, it's a ridiculous idea, have fun with it, you know. These movies are supposed to be escapism and fun. Don't worry about well, how could he possibly do this, and you know, it's like, don't worry too much about, you know, the details. It's like, because people get holed up on these details, that's, you know, like you know, it has to make sense to them, and you're like, it's a horror movie, it doesn't, you know, Freddy Krueger doesn't, you know, I don't like the Freddy Krueger movies when they start explaining the backstory too much.
Oh yeah.
Don't worry about it. It's like, you know, he's a guy that haunts dreams. Does it matter why he ended up doing, you know, but there's a sort of a need to explain it. And the audience, they apparently want that, you know, sort of, and you're like, I think it's much more exciting sometimes, Blair Witch style, to not explain everything, you know, sort of like, you know, sort of, maybe you don't know why something's happening, you know, sort of, because if you know why someone's doing something, there's a temptation to negotiate. You understand them now. There's a temptation to negotiate with them. But if you don't know why a killer is killing people, it's very scary. Like, you know, the most scary killers are like Ted Bundy or someone like that. You know, these guys that have, you know, smile and seem to be quite personable people, a guy you could have a beer with, you know, sort of, they don't seem to have a reason to do what they do. And that's really scary, you know, sort of. So I kind of like it when you lulled into that and you don't really get the explanation you need. You know, I kind of like that.
Oh yeah. And just a final question. Can, like, now that we've gotten this, and I don't want to say too much, but basically with the way everything kind of like ends up, can we expect more?
I
mean, without,
if
you say, yeah.
If, you know, like, put it this way, you were complimenting Mackenzie, who I think is a wonderful actress, and I'm sure you can see her trajectory maybe and where we might go with Mackenzie if we made a sequel and Mickey Mouse is looking for a partner. Yeah. You know, sort of, I'm sure you chaps are smart enough to know who that might be and what cartoon character who's also in Steamboat Willie, who she might be.
Okay.
Later in the month, apparently. So,
all right.
All right.
All right, then.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
Did you get enough there?
Oh, that's perfect. We can attach that to our episode.
We'll just message later on Instagram like I do.
Yes, make sure you tag the movie in it as well. The movie has its own Instagram.
All right, then. Awesome.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much, chaps.
All right. Thanks, guys.
between. Rated B, rated the podcasting station, unveiling truth, sparking conversation.